are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. As you can tell from here, if you're watching the YouTube channel, the graphic says you can call me Sully. This short video is being dropped late in the evening of the 10th day of September 2021, Friday evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about this day in baseball, which, oh man, if you just love anarchy in baseball, it doesn't get better than this. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, and we're also here on the YouTube channel for those of you watching, because we are putting clips and whole episodes on here, as many as I possibly can do. So look at the season is winding down. There's going to be fewer than 20 games for some of the teams, right around 20 games for other teams. And all you would want if you're a baseball fan, besides having your team win, is to have a sense of the final 3 weeks being thrilling and up in the air. And let me tell you something, cousin. Tonight, in terms of baseball potential anarchy, this was a night of baseball that belongs in the Louvre. It was such a work of art. Everything that you could possibly want to show how, I even like to use the word random because that implies things out of control, but unpredictable, that you could ever want in terms of the wild card race happened tonight. Now, let's just go through this crazy night because it's setting up what could be a phenomenal log jam in the American League. I've been saying all year long that I predicted there was going to be a gigantic scrum, and a few games were going to be the difference between making the playoffs or not for a whole bunch of teams. Now, Tampa Bay, despite losing to the Detroit Tigers on Friday night, have a stranglehold on the best record in the American League. The Houston Astros look like they're going to win the division, and the White Sox look like they're cinched to win their division, which brings us to the wild card. Now, a lot of things had to happen on Friday night to turn the wild card into a true log jam going into this weekend. And they almost all virtually happened. Now, first things first, I want to give credit to someone, Brandon Hyde, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles, because the Orioles are probably the worst team in baseball. Maybe the Diamondbacks are the worst. I don't know. But the Orioles are certainly in the conversation for worst team in baseball. And here's what I like about the Orioles and how they've been playing this September. They're showing up. I'm sure a lot of teams are circling the Orioles on their calendar when they're either going to Camden Yards or the Orioles are showing up to their ballpark, thinking, all right, here we go. Here we go. Time to pile up some wins. And the Orioles are saying, not so fast. Beat us. You don't get automatic wins here. And the Orioles showed a lot of guts going to the Yankee Stadium and winning that series last weekend and winning the first game against an absolutely white-hot Blue Jays team with their best pitcher on the mound. Coming off of the 4-game sweep of the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, Robbie Ray on the mound, going to play Baltimore. If there was any game that looked like it was going to be an absolute easy win for the Toronto Blue Jays, it was that game. And guess what? Robbie Ray couldn't get out of the 5th inning. And the Orioles got a leadoff home run from Cedric Mullins. Anthony Santander hit a home run. Ryan McKenna hit a home run. And give the Orioles credit. They showed up. They showed up, and they were not tomato cans. And they forced the Blue Jays to play their best. And ultimately, the Blue Jays tied the game. And when they tied the game, they thought, oh, here we go. Here we go. Blue Jays just gave them a head start. No. Orioles doubled them up. The Blue Jays had a chance to take the second wild card spot for themselves, and they blew it, losing a game started by Robbie Ray against one of the worst teams in baseball. Give credit where it's due. The Orioles stink this year. Boy, I hope I don't get a hate comment on YouTube for that statement. But they showed up, said, we're still a major league team and you've got to beat us. And so good for them. Now, the Red Sox lost to the White Sox because Jose Abreu was awesome. And the Red Sox just couldn't get that big, huge rally. And as it turns out, they lost by 1 run to a very good Chicago team. Chris Sale was supposed to be coming back to Chicago, the place where he was drafted and played the first bunch of his years and became an all-star and a star with the White Sox before being traded for Yoan Moncada and helped the Red Sox win the World Series. But Chris Sale tested positive for COVID. Hey, here's an idea. Get the vaccination, wear a mask. This isn't a political statement. Those are just statements that they help. They help, they may not be perfect, but they sure help avoid things like, I don't know, testing positive for COVID down the stretch of a pennant race. Not that that's the most critical thing that happened in the world of COVID, but you know what? The Red Sox have gone through enough of that. They get back Xander Bogaerts, great, but now they're going to lose Chris freaking Sale at a time where they can't afford to lose him. And they want to lose him to the White Sox. Now, no shame in that. The White Sox are a darn good team, but the Red Sox need to pick up some wins. As it turns out, they're still the top team in the wild card race because the Yankees' losing streak has just become borderline epidemic for a team that not long ago was in the middle of a 13-game winning streak, and now they're in the middle of a 7-game losing streak, losing those last 2 games to Baltimore, being swept at home by the Toronto Blue Jays, and losing this game to the Mets on Friday. And it wasn't just that they lost it, but it was the way that they lost it, which should be really discouraging for Yankee fans. They look stupid. Susan Waldman compared them to the Bad News Bears. That's not a good thing. That they got a terrible performance from Montgomery, their starting pitcher, and they needed length from him because Kluber's pitching on Saturday. He's not going to give you more than 5 innings. And then with Cole hurt, Garrett Cole is hurt, and he's not going to be able to pitch the Sunday game. So that's probably going to be either a bullpen game or someone who's not exactly going to be a Cy Young contender throwing on Sunday. And so the bullpen for the Yankees is gassed. And you're going to turn to them and say, hey, you got to give us 2 more full games on Saturday and Sunday. They may have to pitch 4 innings, 3 or 4 innings on Saturday if everything goes right. And Lord knows what's going to happen on Sunday. Now, King came in and basically took the bullet for the Yankees, throwing 3 innings in the game against the Mets. But they were humiliated by the Mets. They made errors in the field. The pitching was slow and wild. There were tons of walks. Gary Sanchez missed a tag at home plate and then didn't come off a home plate with a throw home that allowed a throw to go wild. They allowed drag bunts. They allowed home runs. There was super sloppy play in the infield. The Yankees looked dead from the neck up. And look at, I thought Aaron Boone saved his job with a 13-game winning streak, but there's a real possibility that the Yankees will not make the postseason. They're only a half game ahead of Toronto at this point for the second wildcard spot. How can Aaron Boone keep his job? And how can Cashman keep his job if this team doesn't make the postseason? That's not hyperbole. This is a team that's designed to go to the World Series. And apparently they were poorly designed. And the thing that made this a night of beauty is that the Oakland A's, led by Olsen and by Marte, won their game, doubling up the Texas Rangers 10-5. And the Seattle Mariners faced Madison Bumgarner and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they got Tom Murphy to hit 2 home runs. And now the Seattle Mariners are only 1 game out of a wild card spot. And the Oakland A's are only 1 game out of a wild card spot. The A's and the Mariners did what they had to do. That was beat a team that was better, that they're better than, essentially. And so now we're going into a situation on Saturday where, let's say the following happens. The White Sox beat the Red Sox. Definitely a possibility. The White Sox are a better team than the Red Sox, and are certainly playing better baseball. Let's just say Corey Kluber doesn't go very deep in the game against the Mets, and the Mets are able to score off of the Yankees bullpen. Again, not an outlandish thought. Let's say those two things happen. Let's say that the A's defeat the Rangers, and then the Mariners defeat the Diamondbacks. And then you have the Orioles and the Blue Jays are playing a doubleheader. There is a real possibility that you could have one game in the loss column separate 5 teams tomorrow. Because guess what? We kind of have that right now. As it stands right now, the Red Sox have 63 losses. The Yankees have 63 losses. The Blue Jays have 63 losses. The A's have 64 losses. The Mariners have 64 losses. This is all you can ask for if you're a baseball fan. Potential anarchy. The idea of going down the stretch and having no clue which team is actually going to be the last team standing. And right now, every bad thing that happened with the slump that the Blue Jays went in after the All-Star break, the key losses to Houston that the Seattle Mariners suffered, and of course, that rancid stretch where the A's just could not win a game, and they wound up losing that game on the walk-off home run by Marcus Semien. All that would be forgotten with a good final 20 some odd games. And all the positive stuff would be forgotten for the Red Sox, the defeating the Yankees and those come from behind games, all the goodwill of pushing the dudes up and down the dugout in the shopping cart, that will all be forgotten, as would the 13-game winning streak by the Yankees. No one will remember that. Only diehard Yankee fans who also have fine memories of Bob Brower. Chances are you don't know who Bob Brower is. Well, the Yankee fans who do will be the ones who remember a 13-game winning streak. Everyone else will go whoosh right out of their head. So we're going to go into Saturday with anarchy, anarchy, anarchy right there on the table, to the point where 5 teams are fighting for 2 spots. None of those teams are going to make the division in terms of winning the division championship. They're all fighting for the chance to fight each other in a 1-game playoff. And what I want to see in many ways is that sort of craziness where you have to play a play-in game for a play-in game. And maybe you have 2 play-in games. I would love to have a 4-way tie. I'd love to have a 5-way tie and do a round robin. We don't know how to pull that off. But that's what I want to see. And with a 20-some-odd game sample size, that's not that outlandish. Now, the National League wild card chase. Why did I say Cy Young chase? The National League wild card chase is not quite as chaotic as the American League, but it is at an absolute standstill tie right now, thanks to the fact that Jose Barrero in his 7th game this year got a key double. Joey Votto homer. The Reds won, and Urias of the Dodgers shut out the Padres, and so the Reds and the Padres are an absolute standstill. Meanwhile, the Braves won their game, and the Giants won their game, and I believe Milwaukee won their game. Yeah, they won their. So all those divisions are locked up. A couple of weeks ago, it looked like there may be a bit of movement going on in terms of the Phillies or the Mets making a real charge at the National League East. That's not going to happen the way the Braves are playing right now, where they are now 4.5 games, 5 in the loss column ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies. And guess what? It's been a big deal, the fact that the Philadelphia Phillies have had a losing record every single year, or losing or a 500 record. They've not been above 500 is what I'm saying, since Ryan Howard fell in a heap at the end of the 2011 National League Division Series against the eventual World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals. They have not finished above 500 since that year, despite having big payrolls and big stars. And just, a week or so ago, this looked like a team that looked like they were in first place in the National League East. And now, they're only 1 game above 500. And they have like 21 games left to play. There's a real chance that this could be yet another season in Philadelphia where they don't even finish above 500. But What I'm saying is Saturday is going to be great. You got a bunch of great matchups and potential anarchy. You have a tight race in the National League wild card, and you have an absolute free for all in the American League. I want to see it continue. I want to see the potential anarchy go right through to the end of the year. I want it to be so confusing they have to play round robins or whatever. But first things first, the teams that are a game back have to win. The teams that are a game ahead have to lose. So, looking forward to the games on Saturday, and let's check out what happens. Thanks for listening. This has been Locked On MLB, our recording for the 10th day of September 2021. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, please, please call me Sully.